Good afternoon, everyone. Sorry for the delay. There is some internet connectivity issue. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar on World Health Day 2021. The theme for today is building a fairer and healthier world. So I welcome Dr. Yes, good afternoon, everyone. So I request Dr. Avchat ma'am to start today's webinar. Yes, ma'am.
Good afternoon, everybody. I welcome all the participants and resource person for today's webinar organized jointly by Department of Community Medicine and Social Cell on occasion of World Health Day 2021. Building a fairer and healthier world is the theme for this year. Since last year, the entire world is facing the pandemic of COVID-19, and everybody recognized and realized the role of World Health Organization in dealing with the pandemic. Even a sorry for the disturbance because of connectivity issues, this problem we are facing. So the Constitution of World Health Organization came into force on 7th April 1948. And since 1950, every year, 7th April is celebrated as World Health Day. A particular theme is decided for every World Health Day. The objective of celebrating World Health Day is to raise global awareness regarding a specific health issue and to highlight a priority area of concern for the World Health Organization. The activities are not limited only on the 7th April, but this day serves as a launch for a long-term advocacy program for which various activities are undertaken and resources are provided well beyond 7th April. Now, background of deciding this theme, why this theme is decided, that is building a fairer and healthier world. Since 2019, we are facing the pandemic of COVID-19, and this COVID-19 is because of COVID-19, the entire world is facing the worst health crisis of the century. This pandemic highlighted the health inequalities all over the world. Health for all by 2000 AD was the goal decided by World Health Organization in 1977. What is meaning of health for all? Health for all means attainment of highest possible level of health by all the people in the world, and it was the target set in 1977. This year's theme, building This is the second World Health Day to fall during COVID-19 pandemic, and the worst health crisis was experienced everywhere because of COVID-19. It highlighted the inequalities in health in the country, across the country, and in the entire world. As of 1st April 2021, over 2.8 million people died because of COVID-19 and more than 130 million people contracted COVID-19. Many of them are having long-term consequences because of COVID-19. Some people are able to live healthier lives as they have better access to health services by virtue of their living conditions or working conditions. On the other hand, some people may not have access to even basic health services. So this health inequality is unfair, but still it is preventable. COVID-19 hit almost all the countries, but its impact is not uniform or not same across the world. What is the impact of COVID-19? It led to loss of employment, food insecurity, partial or complete disruption of health services, and adverse impact on physical and mental health. But this impact is not uniform. It highlighted the health inequalities, it widened the gap between rich and poor, and it widened the gap between developed and underdeveloped. Health inequality is not only limited to the country or to a certain region, but it manifests all over the world. As of 1st April, 500 million vaccines are administered in the world, and out of these 500 million vaccines, 86% vaccines have been administered in high-income countries, while only 0.1% have been distributed in low-income countries. So low-income countries have the only policy of wait and watch for getting vaccine supplies or for getting treatments and technologies. In modern world with resources to create health equity, this is not fair as well as it is not justifiable also. Therefore, this theme, building a fairer and healthier world. What causes health inequity? Social gradient is the major determinant of health and illness. Income, occupation, education are important social determinants of health. Gender discrimination, social injustice, stereotyping are the aggravating factors for health inequity. And these factors must be addressed properly if you want to achieve the health equity or healthier world. Now, what are the role and responsibilities for building healthier world? The responsibility of World Health Organization is advocacy, guidance, and support. The role of government, NGOs, and stakeholders is making the policies to reduce this health inequity and for implementation of various guidelines. Also, their role is for procurement of resources for health equity. They also have the role for addressing and actions towards health inequalities. Professional organizations have their role of capacity building and training resources, and as well as advocacy for getting health equity. Citizens also have their role in making the healthier world. We say that health is not privilege, but it is a right. But along with right, there is some responsibility, and the responsibility of citizens is adopting healthy lifestyle by practicing promotive and prevention measures for the health. As we all know that health is a holistic concept. There are other sectors which also play a crucial role. Safe and sustainable environment in which there should be healthy housing, safe water, eco-friendly waste disposal practices, and environmental hygiene. There should be food security, ensure access to healthy food for every individual. Education sector has also a main role, empowerment of people by providing easy access to quality education, and employable education will be helpful. Economic and commercial factors and health are very strongly correlated. There should be policies and regulations which favor the public health services, and there should be regulations over the private sector and corporate sector so that even a common man can get quality health services. Now, strategies to make the health equity in reality. Equitable distribution is the guiding principle of primary healthcare, and primary healthcare approach should be implemented on priority basis. Lead role of health sector is there in monitoring, in evaluation of outcome of health services. Intersectoral coordination of agriculture sector, animal husbandry sector. So all sectors should work in coordination along with health sector to get health equity and fairer world. Capacity building of health professional is also the responsibility of health sector, and this can be done by training and providing the resources. Data collection should be there to identify the disadvantaged group, to identify the vulnerable groups in the community who are likely to have poor access to good health by virtue of their age, sex, economic conditions. So identifying these vulnerable groups is the first step towards building fairer and healthier world. There are so many vulnerable population groups in India as far as health is concerned. For example, women, under 5 children, geriatric age group, low socioeconomic strata group, etc. Amongst this, geriatric age group is an important age group as this sector of population is growing in size and facing multiple health issues. So healthy aging is a prerequisite to build the healthier world. On this regard, healthy aging, this topic will be discussed by my colleague, Professor Dr. Shukla. So I invite Professor Shukla to deliver his talk on healthy aging.
Welcome, everybody. Good afternoon. At the outset, I would like to congratulate all of you and wish a very happy and healthy WHO Day. I shall be speaking on healthy aging. Aging is a normal physiological process that starts from birth, continues throughout life, and ends with death. It is an inevitable biological phenomenon, but we can protect it, promote it, and extend it. The process of aging of an individual is assessed by comparing his biological age with chronological age. Accordingly, it can be labeled as normal, delayed or retarded, or precocious or premature. So our aim is to delay or retard it, or at least keep it normal, and we should avoid the precocious or premature aging. So when talking about healthy aging, we have to see what health does mean. The health is defined by WHO as a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely an absence of disease or infirmity. The problems due to aging process are there, which we have to solve to help the healthy aging. So let us see what are the various problems of aging. The first in this series comes the problems due to the aging process itself. Some of the disabilities considered as incident to aging process are senile cataract, glaucoma, nerve deafness, bony changes affecting mobility, emphysema, failure of spatial sense, changes in mental outlook, etc. Then problems associated with long-term illnesses are degenerative disease of heart and blood vessels. In this, the atherosclerosis leads to diminished blood supply, thrombus formation, rupture of blood vessels, and high blood pressure. Many factors are responsible for atherosclerosis: diet, heredity, overweight, nervous and emotional strains, etc. Cardiovascular disease are the major cause of death in the developed countries. A reduction of body weight and modification of the habits of life are needed to decrease the strain on heart and blood vessels. By these, it is possible to lead a longer and more useful life. Cancer is another long-term disease which is prevalent in aged people. In the developed countries, cancer is the leading cause of death. The incidence of cancer rises rapidly after the age of 40. Cancer of the prostate is common after the age of 65. Then accidents are also a problem. Accidents are health problem in the elderly, especially. The bones becomes fragile due to osteoporotic changes, and so they break easily. Accidents are more common in the home than outside. Fractured neck of femur is a very common geriatric problem. Then diabetes, it is a leading cause of death as the people grow older. About 75% of diabetics are over 50 years of age. Then very common, the disease of the locomotor system, articular and non-articular disorders like fibrositis, myositis, neuritis, gout, rheumatoid arthritis, osteoarthritis, spondylitis of spine, etc. These cause more discomfort and disability than any other chronic disease in the elderly. Then respiratory illnesses are also very common in the upper decades of life, such as chronic bronchitis, asthma, emphysema. These are of major importance. Next are the genitourinary problems due to enlargement of prostate, dysuria, nocturia, frequency and urgency of micturition are the common complaints. Then psychological problems are also there besides physical problem. There are mental changes, impaired memory, rigidity of outlook, and dislike of changes are some of the mental changes in the aged. Reduced income leads to a fall in the living standards of the elderly, which have mental and social consequences. Then sexual adjustment is also a problem. Between 40 to 50, menopause and many hormonal changes may cause many physical and emotional disturbances. Now, life is, after seeing this, these various problems, the question comes, what we can do to prevent these problems? So lifestyle plays a major role in avoiding these problems. By paying careful attention to lifestyle factors and adopting healthier lifestyle, the risk of disease can be reduced. In the lifestyle, first comes the diet and nutrition. The diet should be balanced and less saturated fat and oil should be there. It should contain lots of fruits and vegetables. The salt and sugar should be less. And the diet should include plenty of calcium-rich food and high amount of fiber to avoid constipation and ease the bowel movement. One should avoid taking forbidden items as per medical advice. For example, in diabetes, the refined sugar and excessive sweet things should be avoided. In hypertension, the excessive salt should be avoided. And accordingly, depending upon the various diseases which a person is having, the medical advice should be followed. Then exercise is very important for a healthy aging. It helps to control the weight, improves emotional well-being, and relieves stress. It improves blood circulation, increases flexibility, lowers blood pressure, increases energy level, improves balance, and thus reduces the dangers of fall. It also lowers blood sugar level and thus helps in diabetes. It improves bone density and thus helps prevent osteoporosis. Weight is also a very important factor. The obesity is an important factor in heart diseases, stroke, hypertension, diabetes, arthritis, and breast cancer. Smoking plays a very significant role. Smoking cessation at the age of 50 years reduces the risk of dying within next 15 years by 50%. Risk of developing smoking-related diseases also decrease. Then alcohol is also associated with the problems of aging. It is related with liver diseases, stomach ulcers, gout, depression, osteoporosis, heart disease, breast cancer, diabetes, and hypertension. Besides these physical problems, the social problems are also there. And social activities also play an important role in keeping the person fit. Getting out and keeping involved with others creates sense of belonging. Mixing with other people of similar age with similar problems can help them realize that they are not alone. Support gained from others is important in recovering from illnesses. Now, very important thing, how we can prevent the accidents which cause a lot of problem in the aged group. There are various precautions which the aged people should observe. For example, while getting up from bed during the night time to go to toilet, they should not suddenly get up and start walking, because due to gravity, the blood suddenly pulls down in the lower extremity because the valves or the blood vessels are not working properly. So they cannot prevent from the pulling of blood, and this causes a postural hypotension. The supply of blood is reduced in the brain, and which results in the unconsciousness or fainting attack, and the person falls. This can result in grievous injury and which may even prove fatal. So it is always better to get up in bed, sit for 30 seconds, then lower lower limbs, and remain standing for 30 seconds. And by this time, the process of valves start working, and then the person can walk slowly to the toilets. Then while walking in home, one should take precaution that the floor should not be very slippery. It should not be made of glazed tiles. There should be no wetness on the floor when the aged person is walking, or slippery things like oil spillage, etc. If the tiles are very glazed one, then we can apply some carpeting over the floor so that the person can have a good grip. This will avoid falling during walking. Secondly, the person get injured because the brain thinks that he can do something, but the body fails to comply. And due to this, the person, while trying to lift or take down some articles from the loft or higher places, or keeping it there, can become disbalanced and can fall. So this should be avoided. Then in bathroom also, the application of some holding objects and handles, etc., should be applied so that the person can hold it while getting up from the commode and commode seat. And if he disbalances, then he can hold it and prevent the fall. The rubber matting can be applied in the floor of the bathroom to avoid slippage and accidents. Then while walking on road, it is always better to take a help of a stick, because otherwise also when person walks and one leg is in air, the other leg has to support the whole weight of the body. And this causes problem in the joints, especially weight-bearing joints like knee joint, ankle joint, etc. So if a person is using a stick, then that serves as a third foot, and the weight of the body is divided when the person lifts his one leg for walking. So this is always better to use a stick. The person should not go in the busy traffic. He should walk at the side of the road and always take precaution. Then when going out alone, he should keep a card with him mentioning his name, address, phone number, whom to inform, so that if something odd happens, then he can be helped. While taking medicine also, due to forgetfulness, the person can think that whether he has taken the medicine or not. He may take it twice, or he may forget it to take. So it is better to have a medicine planner. It contains various small chambers. For 1 week, medicine can be arranged accordingly in morning, afternoon, evening, and at bedtime. So the person can know whether he has taken the medicine or not, and he will not miss the medicine and will not repeat it, and the dose will not be doubled. So these precautions can help the person in aged. So take-home message is that one should take precaution in nutrition. He should know what and what not to eat, how to eat, when to eat. Special precaution in chronic illnesses. Physical activity, what and what not to do is very important. Then regular health checkups are very, very important to prevent the disease from becoming severe. And recreation and social life of management is, of course, needed for the social and mental health, and precaution to prevent accidents, as has been discussed, should be taken. Thank you, and thank you for patient listening.
Thank you very much, Dr. Shukla, sir. That was a very nice insight into how to stay healthy at older age. Now, I would like to just mention few strategies to improve healthcare in India. So, as ma'am has already given us an insight into the COVID-19 pandemic, which has started almost late 2019, and it's almost day 380 into the pandemic since WHO has declared the pandemic situation. Healthcare problems we have seen all over the world, where the so-called very good health standards countries like Europe and Americas, they have faced a lack of a severe lack of healthcare facilities, intensive care units, beds, and even doctors. They died because of this pandemic. So this year's 2021 WHO Day theme is building a fairer and healthier world, where we need to redefine the health priorities and address the health inequalities, not only in India, but also throughout the world. The quality of healthcare for all, quality healthcare for all should be the motive at the planning commission itself. Okay, so the Niti Aayog, which is the planning commission, today's planning commission of India, should decide which healthcare programs are to be run, which funding is to be given to which programs, and how we can integrate health sector with other sectors like education, like food and nutrition, agriculture, and whatnot. The strategies to improve healthcare in India, the first will be the scarcity of health manpower. So it is addressed that for every 1,000 people, we should have at least one doctor. But in India, we are observing one doctor for 7,000 to 8,000 people. So we have a lot of scarcity. For every 10,000, we have almost 5 to 6 doctors less. There should be formally trained care providers at rural India, where the healthcare services are available at urban population, because the people they are affording, or because the availability of clinics, of secondary centers, of tertiary centers, government and private healthcare facilities. The urban India has as such per se no major health issues, but rural India, we have a lack of doctors, lack of healthcare facilities. The government facilities are less. One primary health center is there for 25 to 30,000 population, which can have almost 10 villages or 5 villages in them. There is infrastructure problem. Roads are not that much good, or the facilities provided at primary health center, they are not up to the mark. So what we can do is the healthcare providers, the basic healthcare providers in the rural India, we can train them. We can use telemedicine for rural India, where sub-centers and primary health centers can be given facility of internet and video recording, so that they can consult for their patients through the telemedicine format. The informal healthcare providers at rural India, the ASHA workers, Anganwadi workers, and village health workers, they should be given more incentives, and they should be provided technology for diagnosis, suspicion, or prompt referral of these patients. They should be able to suspect neonatal distress, infant respiratory problems, or maternal complications. So if they are trained enough to reduce the maternal mortality and infant mortality or under 5 mortality in India, that will be a great help in this our mission to improve the healthcare system. The infrastructure modification, which is the most required, includes the modification of primary health centers, sub-centers, and even government health facilities. The sustained supply of materials and logistics should be there to run all the national health programs. The best example is RNTCP. Previously, what used to happen, they used to supply drugs in numbers. Like they used to give for a primary health center which has got say 100 tuberculosis patients, they used to give 1,000 tablets of isoniazid, 1,000 tablets of rifampicin, and so on. But now they are the material supply and logistic supply is very up to date. As soon as the patient is diagnosed with tuberculosis, they provide whole treatment for the 6 months itself. So there is no any discontinuation in the treatment of tuberculosis. Then continued professional development should be addressed for all the healthcare providers, for MBBS and specialty doctors, and also for the paramedical staff, nursing staff, and also for ASHA and Anganwadi healthcare workers. Continuous training and continuous evaluation for new health challenges like COVID-19 pandemic will give rise to improvement in better healthcare provision. Accountability for providing quality services should be there. People should be hold responsible for their services which they are supposed to provide. The effective intersectoral coordination, the health sector cannot work alone. It should be coordinated with educational sector. It should be coordinated with civil engineering department. Should be coordinated with agriculture and food department. For coordinated with fisheries. So all the different governments should come together to address the health inequalities and to bring a fairer and healthier world. So that's it regarding today's topic. Thank you, everyone. Now I request respected Dean Sir to please join us for concluding remarks. Okay, so I request Mr. Sandeep Joshi Sir to please deliver vote of thanks. Joshi Sir.
Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of Department of Community Medicine, I thank respected Secretary General, Lieutenant General Dr. B. Sadananda Sir, Deputy Director, Dr. Dute Sir, for their support. I thank respected Dean Sir, Dr. Sunil Natamaske Sir, for this guidance and motivation. I thank all the speakers of today's program, Dr. Mrs. Outsat, Professor and Head, Department of Community Medicine, Dr. M.K. Shukla Sir, Professor, Department of Community Medicine, Dr. Amrut Swami Sir, Assistant Professor, Department of Community Medicine. At last, I thank all the technical support for maintenance department, and I thank all the listeners of today's webinar. I conclude that this webinar is over. Thank you very much.